name is Danessa with Uncork Canvas, and I am here to show you how to do a DIY macrame keychain. Let's go tie some knots. So in front of me I have the supplies we are going to need to create this beautiful macrame keychain. So you're going to have your cotton rope, 3 beads, then we'll have this keychain hardware, a measuring tape, scissors, a little cup of water to moisten the string so it's easier for you to get your beads onto your project, and then a cork board and a couple of sewing pins. So the first thing we're going to do is cut our cord for our project. So you're going to grab your measuring tape, the scissors, and of course your cord. So you are going to want to cut 5 pieces at 35 inches each, and then we're going to cut 1 piece at 15 inches, and that will be for the end of your project. So I'm going to go ahead and cut those first 5 pieces. And for me, the easiest thing to do is cut the first one and then just use that to cut the rest of your pieces. Okay, so once you have all your pieces cut, your 5 pieces of 35 inches and 1 at 15, you can go ahead and toss your measuring device aside. And then we're going to also put this aside for the end of the project. So our next step is going to be attaching our ropes to our keychain hardware. So before we attach it to the cork board, we're going to put our first knot, which is called a Larks head knot. So this is a Larks head knot. You're going to start with a piece of cord, fold it in half, which will create a hoop on the end. You're going to put it over whatever you're working with and feed those free ends through that hoop. Pull tight. And that's a Larks head knot. Stick the loop through your keychain hardware and then feed your loose ends through that hoop and pull tight. And you're going to do that with all 5 of your strings. So this is going to be where you're going to want to attach it to your cork board. And you can put it really anywhere on your cork board, but I put my pins through these side knots here. On either side you're going to want to put your pin, and that just helps keep your keychain from moving around while you're tying your knots. We're going to start our piece with this double half hitch knot, which is this piece here. So you're actually going to start in the middle, and you're going to have one piece that's going to follow you all the way across on either side of your work. So we're going to start on this side, but just so you have an idea, both sides you're going to have one string follow you all the way through. So you're going to hold that piece in one hand. You're going to take the piece next to it. You're going to go over and through. You're kind of looking for this hoop here. You're going to pull that all the way to the top, make it tight. Or you can actually make it loose if you prefer. I like my pieces to be tight, which is this result here. Same thing, you're going to do 2 of those, over, through. And just pull that tight. So you're done with that piece. You're going to take that same piece that's going to follow you all the way through. You're going to do the same knot. So you're going to go over, under, through. pull that up to the bottom of your first knot. And that's what's going to make that upside down V or top of a triangle. Same thing, over, under, through, and you're done with that. That's the first part of that side, and we're just going to repeat that same process on this side. So you're going to have that starter piece that goes all the way across your work, follows you all the way across. So you're going to do the same thing. You're going to have this in one hand. You're going to go over, under, through, look for this kind of little loop here, pull tight all the way to the top, right next to your first knot that you made. Repeat that a second time, over, under, through. Just do it over and over again. You have just finished the first part of your project. You can just make sure your knots are tight before moving on to the next one, but your project so far should look like this, which, like I said, was the beginning of this part. Now we're going to add this first bead onto the middle two strings that we have here. So just these two, you can set these ones off to the side. To make this easier for yourself, you can either twist these together as much as you can and try to feed it through the bead, which this hole on this bead is pretty large, so you can do it. Or I usually have a little cup of water, just dip those ends into it, which just helps keep those little strings from fraying. Makes it a little easier, not perfect, but a little bit easier to get those strings through. You're just going to pull that bead all the way to the top of your project, and then we're going to do a new knot. So this knot is called a square knot. So you're going to put your outside strings, which is 3 on each side, off to the side, and you're going to start with your left side string, and you're going to make a little loop on this side over the two middle. This right string you're going to put over the top of your hoop, your first hoop, and then you're going to go under those middle strings and then through your first hoop to where you have something that looks like this. Make it a little bit easier for you to see, kind of like a pretzel. And then you're just going to pull that up to the bottom of that bead. And we have to finish that knot by repeating the same process on the other side. So make a hoop on your right side, place the string over the top of that hoop that you just made, or the end of that hoop, go under your middle two strings, and go up through that first hoop to make the same pretzel there, and then just pull up to the bottom of that first knot. And that created your first square knot. Please rewind and rewatch that if you need to, but I promise you'll get it. You're going to repeat that same knot on either side, but you're going to leave one string on each end. So we're going to do a knot here and a knot here. And you're going to want to start this side on the left, and then when we get to this side, you're going to start on the right, and I'll explain what I mean. So same thing, two middle strings, make your hoop on the left side, place your right string over that string, under your 2 middles and up through that loop. Pull down to the end of this knot here. So not all the way to the tippy top of your last knot that you did with our double half stitch. You're gonna just go right to the end of that one, and then we're gonna repeat that again on the right side. So loop over, under your 2 strings, through, and pull tight. Start on the opposite end we did. So over here we started with your left string. Over on this side we're going to start with the right string. You're going to cross that over, pull your left string over the top, under your 2, through your hoop. And again, just pull to the bottom of that first square knot we did. We're just going to repeat that process, but with your left string, left hoop, over, under, through. So now you can see what I mean by balancing it out is having these 2 strings here, or cord, on either side, so they're not just both on one side. It just makes your piece look a little bit more finished. And then right in the middle we're going to do another square knot, but same thing, we're going to put this little string on the opposite side so it balances it out. That little string will be on the side that you start with. So we're going to start with the right side, right loop, over, under, through, pull up to the bottom of those 2 that you just did, and then we're going to do your left side, over, under, and through. Okay, so once you have your 4 square knots in the middle, you can either put your second bead, which is this bead here, onto your work so that we can continue this diamond shape here, or you can wait until we get to the bottom of that. I usually like to go ahead and put them on right away. So same thing, dip them in the water that you have, twist those ends together. Don't spill your water all over your lap. I'm not saying I did that ever. Pull that bead up to the bottom of your square knot, and then we're going to finish this diamond here. And to do that, we're just going to continue this same sequence, but just the opposite. So we're going to start on the end and work our way in. So you're going to start with a starter piece, and you're going to move that piece all the way across to the middle of your work. Same thing with this one. You're going to start with the starter piece. That's going to follow you all the way to the middle. So you're going to hold this, and we're going to do the same double half hitch knot on this side. So you're going to go have this come over, pull that string over and through, and then pull tight to the bottom of your last stitch that you did up there, knot that you did up there. Just repeat that over, under, through. Your last one, I usually like to wait to finish this one just because it is a little bit awkward with this bead here, but it makes it easier for me to finish over on this side. So I am going to do this other side first. Okay, so now you are in the, I guess, at the bottom of your diamond here, and we're going to just finish up those last couple double half hitch knots. So this is the piece that's following you to the middle. So again, just hold that one, going over, under, through. And the only thing that's awkward about this is because you're making up for this gap that this bead puts here. So you're just going to pull it tight, and it's gonna make your bead look like it's a little bit off skew, but I promise it'll work out. So just pull that up to the end there, repeat that knot, pull it tight, and then we're just gonna repeat that on the last stitches over here. So this is your working piece that's following you to the middle, over, under, through. Same thing, just pull that tight so that string right there is covered up. And then just do your last knot of your diamond here. Pull tight. And then to finish that off completely, you're just gonna do a regular, like tying your shoes knot. So just cross one over, doesn't matter which side. Pull all the way to the top. Pull tight. Flatten out your work just so you can see what it looks like, and then do the same knot, cross them over, pull it all the way to the top. And that just finishes off your work there. And this, it doesn't matter which side those strings fall on, but just kind of go with whatever side they want to go on. And then so that's the end of your diamond here. Now we're going to do more square knots. So you can't really see them on this piece, but there is a couple square knots here that we're going to do, and then we're going to add another bead just because we like beads. So we're going to do some more square knots here on these 4 strings. So these ones you can put off to the side. They'll be back, I promise. And you're going to do the same as we did up here where we're balancing it out. So on this side, we're gonna start with the left string. So our square knot is where we make a loop over these 2 middle strings. Take your right string, go over that, under your double middle strings and through that hoop. And this one, you're gonna pull up to the bottom of your diamond here. So there will be this gap here, but it's gonna be the same as up here. You're going to repeat that, but on the opposite side. Make your loop, over, under, through. That's 1 square knot. We're just going to repeat that on this side, but we want this little loop here to be on the opposite side. So you're going to start with your right string. You're going to make your loop, over, under, through. Pull it up to the bottom of your diamond. Then you're going to do the left side. So left hoop, over, under, through. Probably didn't think you'd ever hear over, under, through so many times. Then you have your 2 square knots there. Pull everything tight. Then we're gonna do 1 more square knot right in the middle. And that one doesn't really match up with any of these up here. So if you want to kind of go left, right, left down here, definitely can. So that's what I'm gonna do, is start with my left side, so we're working with the 4 strings in the middle. Same square knot we did before. Pull to the bottom of those 2 square knots that you just did, and then you're gonna do the same thing on the opposite side. You know, over, under, through. So we're almost done with this piece. So we're just going to do another couple, they're square knots, but they're actually going to be a twist version, and all that means is that when we do that first part of the square knot, so the first step, we're just going to repeat that. So we're going to do from the left side multiple times, so then that makes the string end up like a rope or your work twist into a cute little detail here. So we're going to start with these 4 strings here. Same thing as a square knot, make your loop but on the left side, over, under, through. And we're going to pull to the bottom of your square knot here. And so normally we would go this side, over, under, through, but we're going to keep on this left side. So you're going to do that same process, left loop, right string, over, under, through, pull to the bottom of that, and you're going to repeat that 2 more times. Twist here, so when we tie it off, you're gonna let that twist the way it wants. And we're gonna bunch them up. So we just need to repeat that process on this side, but we're gonna do from the right. Let that twist happen. And then we're going to put our last bead right in the middle. You're going to moisten those strings. Everybody's favorite word. Twist those ends. Grab your last bead and feed it through. Pull that all the way to the top, and then all we have to do now, once we let those twists happen, is we're going to bunch all those strings up at the bottom to create this piece, and that's where this last little bit that I had you cut off in the beginning comes in. So all you do is just pull all of those strings in. You're going to take one end, face it up. So you're going to have a little bit of a tail here. Loop it around two of your fingers here, and you're going to cross over and wrap it around the bottom of that, all those bunched up strings. And then to make it look nice, so if you just want the rows, is just follow that around a couple times. And this should be pretty tight, I don't need you to hulk it out or anything, but just pretty tight. And I go around 4 times, pulling tight, and then take your fingers out of that hoop that you started, and you're gonna feed the other end through that hoop. And then you're gonna hold on to these, pull this piece up until it feeds through the bottom of this. And you just keep, not pull too much here. Pull both ends, and then you have a nice tight little knot there. And then you can just cut either of these off. You can leave that bottom one because it's gonna feed into your other ones. Cut that piece right at the top of that. Kind of hide in there. And then all that's left to do is leave all of these scragglers at that length, or clean them up by cutting them all the same length, which I usually just go by the shortest ones that are on there. And then you have your finished work. And on one side it looks like that, the other side it looks a little bit different, but both are cute. And then we will move on to the dyeing process. Now all we need to do is dye our project. So you can either dye the whole thing, or how I did this piece was just dyed to a certain point and it kind of wicks up a little bit, so it's that lighter version. So of course, take it off your cork board. You're gonna have a small glass of water, usually 8 to 10 ounces of hot water, and then you're gonna be sent home with some of our dye. This is in Pearl Gray, which is this color here. And you're just gonna add about a teaspoon of this, which will be already measured out for you. Okay, so once your dye is stirred in and dissolved, you will have a cup like this, depending on the color that you are doing, but this is the gray. And all I do is completely dip this whole thing in all the way up to your desired piece, which I do up to the first, or this first bead that we put on here. And you're just gonna hold it there. And this will depend on how dark you want your piece. I only do 5 minutes, and that will give you this color here. And I will kind of move it around. You will have gloves in your kit, so you'll be able to touch this a little bit more freely than I am. You're just gonna let that kind of soak up, and you can already see it's kind of wicking up there. Just let it sit in, and then I'll show you how to get this pattern down here. You can completely unravel your piece and it will be a solid gray, or I can show you how to do these tiger stripes. Okay, so once your piece is to your desired color, you're going to go ahead and remove it from your hot water and just rinse it under cold water until all that dye runs clear, or your piece of work runs clear. You just want to make sure to get all that dye out of it, and then you're just going to let it dry on some paper towels or the edge of your sink, or if you have something to hang it on so that it can drip dry. It usually takes a couple hours and then you're good to go, but I'm just going to go rinse that and then I'll be back. Okay, so here is your piece after it is completely dyed, rinsed out, and like I said, you can just let it sit here to dry on a paper towel at the edge of your sink, wherever it's convenient for you. And to get this effect here, like I said, you can leave them wound up like this, or you can completely untwist them before you dye them so that the whole thing is colored. But all I did is left those twisted. You're just going to unravel them so that they have that piece there. So like I said, either way looks super cute. But that's the end of your piece. I hope you enjoy it. Okay, bye.
Make sure you like and subscribe so you never miss out on the next big thing from Unquirked Canvas.